node I already explained. Now come to the concept of branch. Come to concept of branch. Once again I am considering the same circuits only. Right. Now, how to give the definition of branch? So, the definition of branch is it is an elemental connection. It is an elemental connection between two nodes. Branch is an elemental connection between two nodes. Means here this was a node, this was a node, right? So this is a node, this is a node. So I will say what I am saying is it is an elemental connection between two nodes. So between two nodes, whatever may be the number of elements are connected, those each represents a single branch. So here between this node and this node, this element is connected. So this is a branch. Between this and this, again this element is connected. So this is also a branch. Between this and this is connected, this is also a branch. So you see, counting in this way is equivalent to simply counting the number of elements, because anyway whenever you are doing some interconnection, what happens? Definitely when you are connecting, you have to consider two nodes only, is it not? So that's why we can say that the number of branch present in a network is equal to the number of elements present in the network. So I can say the number of branch in a network is equal to the number of element present in the network. Number of element present in network. So here, if someone is asking me how many branches are there, simply I can say the answer is 6. Because any element you consider, any x you consider out of 1 to 6, definitely it is connected between two nodes. So I can say the number of branch is here equal to 6 here. The number of branch equal to 6, right? So, but what is the unique feature of this branch? As in the nodal case, I told you that all the wires converging at a particular node are at the same potential with respect to ground. Similarly, here it says that in presence of a independent source, there is always a non-zero amount of current passing through that branch. What I am saying is, in presence of an independent source, there is always a non-zero amount of current passing through that branch. What I mean to say, suppose in this existing network, let us say one of the element is independent source, and here I am connecting any particular element, let us say some register or something like that, let us say X7 it is. Now, if I am asking you what is the number of branch, then if you are answering me this is 7, so this will be absolutely wrong. Because if you are assuming an independent source is there, the property of a branch is that in presence of an independent source, at least one independent source, there is always a non-zero amount of current passing through that branch. So here, what is the amount of current passing? Definitely 0, because it is already violating the condition of flow of current, because it is open path, there is no return path, how the current will return? So definitely, these kind of branch are what we mean by dead branch. Dead branch means what? where there is no current passing through that particular branch is known as dead branch. Okay, so this is what the definition of node and branch. Now, what is mesh and what is loop? What is mesh and what is loop? Mesh is, it is a closed path. Let me explain you. What is the difference between mesh and loop is, we again use these two words interchangeably as we are using the circuit and network. Now, how to define a mesh? The simple way to define a mesh is, it is a closed path that doesn't have further closed path. Listen to the statement, mesh is a closed path that doesn't have further closed path. What is the difference of loop? The loop is, it is also a closed path that may or may not have further closed path. I mean to say, if you are considering this x1, x2, x3, this inside this path, so this particular thing is said to be a mesh as well as loop. Why it is said to be a mesh? Because it doesn't have further path. However, if you are considering this x1, x2, x4, x5, that is this outer boundary like this here, then it is said to be only a loop but not a mesh, because if you are considering this one, this is again containing two smaller loops, two smaller closed path here, right? So this is what is not said to be a loop. This is what not said to be a mesh, this is said to be loop, right? So let us write the definition of this. How to define the mesh? It is a closed path. It is a closed path that doesn't have, it is a closed path that doesn't have further closed path. Further closed path. The another name of the mesh is independent loop. It is also known as independent loop. Loop and independent loop are different terms, don't mix. This is also known as independent loop. Now, what is the definition of loop? Loop is, it is also a closed path. It is also a closed path that may or may not have further closed path. That may or may not have further closed path. So here, if someone is asking me how many number of meshes are there, so straightforward we can say this is 3, because this is this and this, because this doesn't contain further closed path, right? But how many number of loops are there? Loops are how many loops there means we have to see the possibility. Suppose I am defining mesh 1 by considering x1, x2, x3. I am defining mesh 2 by considering what? x3, x4, x5. I am defining mesh 3 by considering x5 and xc only. So these are said to be loops also as well, right? Loop 1, loop 2, loop 3, because it is also a closed path that may or may not have further closed path. So similarly, another loop that you can frame is combination of mesh 1 and mesh 2, right? This and this, x1, x2, x4, x5. So this will comprise of another loop. Similarly, L5, what is the L5? L5 is, what is that? Mesh 2 and mesh 3. Mesh 2 and mesh 3. This and this. Similarly, L6, loop number 6 is the entire outer boundary. That is combination of mesh 1, mesh 2 and mesh 3. So from this, obviously we can make a conclusion. All meshes are loop. All meshes are loop. But all loops need not be mesh. Need not be mesh always, right? Need not be mesh always. That definition is in or difference between loop or mesh. Okay. Now, from this, some relation we can derive. That also get question came once. What is that is, the number of nodal equation to be solved in a network is equal to NP minus 1. What is NP? NP is the number of principal node. So here I would say this is one principal node, this is one principal node, this is also one principal node. So already we have evaluated here. How many principal nodes are there? 3, right? So we need 3 minus 1 is equal to 2 nodal equation. One equation you have to write here, another equation here. So means without solving the particular network, just by observing the topology, you can directly say that how many equations you need, right? Next is here, then another point is the number of mesh equation needed. The number of mesh equation needed to solve a particular network is B minus n minus 1. B minus inside bracket n minus 1, or which is equal to B minus n plus 1. So in this already have evaluated number of branch in this is how much? 6, right? Number of node what you have counted is 4. So the number of mesh equation, this is denoted by small m. The number of mesh equation needed is how much? B minus n minus 1. So 6 minus 4 minus 1 is equal to 6 minus 3 is equal to 3 equations. One mesh equation you have to write here, another here, another here. So even if without solving, qualitatively you can say how many minimum number of equations we need to solve all this. So this is what the concept of node, branch, mesh and loop. Obviously we cannot expect much question on these sections what I have explained, but slowly, gradually we are moving, right? So concept number 8 is characteristic of electric circuit element. Okay, see, in a particular network or in a particular circuit, the role or the purpose of a particular element is to maintain some prescribed input-output relation. But in electrical engineering, any element you consider, input-output means by default to assume that it is the voltage current only. If input is voltage, output current, or input is voltage, output is, or vice versa, right? So the main objective of a particular electric element network is to maintain a prescribed input-output relationship or to maintain a prescribed voltage current relationship at its terminals. So always remember, the electrical behavior of a particular element is always characterized by its IV curve, right? So let me write down the electrical behavior of an element is characterized by its IV curve. What is the meaning of IV curve? That any element you consider, we want to comment on its nature, what kind of nature it has. There are various ways. So in order to comment that, we need to have the IV curve. IV curve means this axis, this y axis is where meaning by I, this is minus I, this is V, and this is minus P. So you need to have a kind of curve, that is in some books they are writing also transfer characteristic curves. So let us say for some understanding purpose, let us say I am getting a curve like this. Like this I am getting some particular curve, which is means somewhat matching with like a diode curve, but not exactly diode. So let's say like this we are getting some curve. So depending on its nature of the curve we are getting, we are commenting various types of element. So there are various kind of elements are there. So the common way to classify this is linear and non-linear element. Second one is unilateral and bilateral element. Bilateral element. The third one is passive or active and passive element. Active and passive element. The fourth one is time invariant and time variant element. So these are the major way to classify the electric elements. How do we classify all these electric element means just by observing the IV curve only we are going to classify that what kind of nature we can give or what the name we can give to a particular element. Now how to define a particular element is linear or non-linear. Simple definition in signals also we are making use of this concept that satisfies superposition theorem, right? That is said to be a linear system. Here also an element is said to be linear if it satisfies superposition. But another way to visualize this particular linearity here is that if the transfer characteristic curve or if the IV curve, if that is a straight line passing through origin for all value of time, right, then it is said to be what? A linear element. I repeat, if the IV curve, if it is straight line for all values, for all voltage current, if it is straight line, then that one is said to be a linear element. If it is not a straight line for all values of these voltage currents, that is said to be a non-linear element. Please remember that this axis is voltage, this axis is current. We are not plotting anything I or B with respect to time. So if for all value of voltage and current, if the characteristic is a straight line passing through origin, said to be linear. If it is not a straight line passing through origin, it is said to be a non-linear element, right? So I can say here, this one is said to be a non-linear element. So remember the statement, if the curve, if the transfer curve of this IV curve, if it is a straight line passing through origin, it is said to be linear, else it is non-linear. So I can say, if I am drawing a curve like this, so this is said to be linear element. So this red pen here, this is, I can say it is a linear element because it is a straight line passing through origin. The slope can be anything else, but it should be a straight line. Now, how to define the unilateral and bilateral property? Now the definition is the unilateral bilateral definition. To understand this, I would like to help this with the help of diodes. What is this unilateral and bilateral says is that if the magnitude of current doesn't change in the change of polarity of voltage, it is said to be a bilateral element. If the magnitude changes, it is said to be unilateral element. For example, what is the meaning of this? See, you compare this particular diode circuit with this resistive circuit here. Suppose this is a 2 volt battery I have connected. Let us assume the cut-in voltage of this diode is 0.7. Let us assume that the cut-in voltage of diode is 0.7. So here, what happens with respect to this polarity? Some amount of current will pass through this. So some amount of current, non-zero current, don't know what is that. Now, let us say that why it is passing some amount of current, because it is forward bias. But now, if I am making this a reverse bias, so in this direction, if I am making this is 2 volt, I can say the amount of current that is passing is 0 because it is a reverse bias now. Now, if I am changing the voltage polarity, the current is changing here, magnitude is changing. So I can say ID1 is equal to some non-zero value when it was current in other way, but ID2 is equal to 0 here, right? Sign is not a problem, but magnitude should not be changed. So the diode is said to be unilateral element, not bilateral element. In a similar manner, here if you come to this particular case, let us say again we are current in 2 volt, let us say 2 ohm resistor here. And if you are measuring what is this current I here, what you will get? with respect to this current I1 is equal to 1 ampere. If I am changing this polarity like this, if I am making this is negative, this is positive, what happens? Now this current I2 with respect to this is equal to how much? Minus 1 ampere. This current is minus 1 ampere, plus 1 ampere is in this direction. So what I am saying is the magnitude of the current that should not change. Here what is changing? Only the sign is changing, that is okay, but magnitude should not be changed. So that this resistor is said to be what? A bilateral element, however a diode is said to be unilateral element. The reason is the magnitude of current is changing when we are reversing the voltage polarity across the element, right? So diode is said to be unilateral, a resistor is said to be bilateral. Similarly, inductor, capacitor, all these are said to be RLC elements are said to be what? Bilateral element only, because current can enter in either way. It's not like diode. That is one point. The second thing is how to identify whether an element is unilateral or bilateral. So there is a logic is there. You remember this? So the logic is if the curve is symmetrical in the first quadrant and third quadrant or second or fourth quadrant, it is said to be bilateral, otherwise unilateral. What I mean to say? So let me write down the definition of this. So linear definition is, the condition for linearity is, it is a straight line through origin. That's it. Then said to be linear. For bilateral, it should be symmetric in first third or second fourth. What is the meaning of that? Symmetrical in first third and this. See, if you observe this particular curve here, so this is the first quadrant, this is the second quadrant, this is the third quadrant, this is the fourth quadrant, right? See, this particular curve, this red line curve is symmetrical where in second and fourth. What is the meaning of symmetrical here is that if a point Vi exists in a curve, then definitely minus B minus I also has to exist in that particular curve. If Vi is existing in the curve, then minus P minus I should also be existing in that curve, so that we can say it is a bilateral, otherwise unilateral. So here you see that we can easily say that if here this particular point is some voltage 2 volt, this current is minus 2, then definitely minus 2 is also present. So if 2 minus 2 is there, then definitely we can say minus 2 is also there. Why this will come? Because this curve is symmetrical, right? However, if we have a curve something like this, you consider this black curve now. So what happens here? Here, if this is equal to this point is equal to 2 comma 2, then minus 2 comma minus 2 is not there. So this particular curve is said to be what? The characteristic of a unilateral element, but this particular curve is said to be characteristic of a what? Bilateral element. So this is the way to identify the unilateral and bilateral. Right? Now, how to define an element is active or passive? The simple way to define an element is active or passive is that if element is capable of delivering net amount of energy to outside world, it is said to be active, otherwise it is said to be passive. I repeat, if an element is capable of delivering a net amount of energy to the outside world, it is said to be active, else it is said to be passive. So the example of active element is nothing but what? Your battery, the energy sources, it's a voltage source, it may be current source. So these are said to be active, or a transistor is said to also active because what happens? Because it is having amplification capacity, it is delivering a net amount of power. Whatever the input power you are giving, the output power is greater than that. So it is delivering some amount of power. That's why the transistor is said to be an active element. However, diode is again a passive element. RLC, all are passive elements because they cannot deliver you net amount of energy to outside world. They are not like amplifiers or like transistors. Okay, but how to identify whether an element is active or passive? The simple way to identify the active is if a portion of IV curve contains negative slope, it is said to be active. If a portion of IV curve contains a negative slope, it is said to be active. What I mean to say? See, If you are observing this particular curve, what is the slope of this? The slope of this is negative only, right? The slope of this is negative. So I can say this particular element is the example of an active element. But what about this? There is nowhere negative slope is there, right? Nowhere negative slope is there. So I can say this is a passive element. Passive element. So simple way, you observe in the entire curve, is there any portion where negative slope is there? If a portion is there, it is said to be passive. If it is not, that is said to be active. However, if let us say I have a curve like this, forget this, take a separate diagram. Suppose I have a curve like this. What I can say here? You see, this particular portion is what? Positive slope. This particular portion is what? Negative slope. But what I am saying, if a portion of IV curve contains a negative slope, it is said to be active. So because of this, we should say this is active, right? But one confusion you might have, all of you have, that the battery or a voltage source is said to be active. But this is also not correct all the time. See, for example, let's say, suppose I have a 5 volt battery is there. Here some resistance is there, 2 ohm. Here some battery is there, let us say this is 3 volt battery. 3 volt battery is there. Now, see that, what is the current direction here? This is 5, this is 3. 5 minus 3 is 2, 2 by 2 is 1. So 1 ampere is flowing in this direction. You can also argue minus 1 is flowing in this direction. Let us consider the positive current direction. So 1 ampere is flowing in this direction. So as I told you just before, in that power convention principle, when the current is entering on the where positive terminal, it is said to be absorbing. If it enters the negative, it is said to be delivering. So here, this 1 ampere current is passing like this, this 1 ampere current is passing like this. I can say 5 volt is delivering power, 3 volt is absorbing power, right? See, 5 volt is delivering power, 3 volt is absorbing power. However, if you are considering is a single 3 volt only, so this is a single 3 volt, let us say this 5 volt is not there, what happens now? Now what happens? If this is 3 volt, this is 2 ohm, so this current is how much? This is 1.5 ampere. But what is the status? Now the status of this is what? This is delivering. Here, this is absorbing, this is delivering. So what is the point to observe here? The point that we need to observe here is that sometime this battery is absorbing the power, sometime it is delivering the power. So whenever you are considering this 3 volt in this connection, so this is absorbing power, but whenever you are considering this independently, this is delivering power. So you should not think that a battery is always a delivering element. Individually, it is a delivering element always. If there is only one source, compulsorily it is always deliver. But if you are connecting a battery in an interconnection, whether it is deliver or it is absorb, that depends on the interconnection and the topology or the component value what you have used. So 3 volt is individually active element, but in this particular interconnection, I will say 3 volt is behaving like a passive element. So active element behavior is just like a passive element here. But overall, we will say that this 3 volt is overall said to be active element. That's why in that particular curve, sometime it is showing passive, sometime it is active. The point that you should note here is that an active element can behave as a passive element. This is an example of that. Okay. Now, one more question also sometime comes to mind, that because inductor, capacitor, those can deliver energy, right? Why don't you say that is active element? Why you say passive element? The reason is, the inductor, capacitor, they don't have self-generating capacity. They cannot generate any amount of energy by their own. They will store the energy from source and later on they will deliver. It's not like that independently they have that inbuilt capacity to do that. It's not like that, right? So that point is, you should note that that's why we say this is passive. Self-generating capacity is not there. So this is the way to say this is active and passive. Okay. Now, one of the example I also like to tell you, that in your mobile phone application, whenever you are using that mobile phone, whenever you are talking, your battery is constantly delivering the power to the internal circuit component or the internal IC that has been contained in your mobile phone. However, if you are when you are connecting your mobile phone in the charging mode, what happens? Now that battery is what? Storing the energy from where? From the power supply. So whenever you are putting that in power supply, you are charging that, the mobile is behaving like, the battery is behaving like what? A passive element. But whenever you are using that, it is behaving like an active element. So whenever delivering active, whenever absorbing passive element. So individually these batteries are always active, but in a combination that may active, that may passive. See here, this 5 volt is what? This is nothing but active element here. But here if I am making this to be 8 volt, what happens now? If I am making this to be 8 volt, now which was earlier delivering, now this will be absorbing. That depends in the interconnection. You cannot say what happens in the exactly inside the circuit. That depends on the circuit connection and the values. Right? So the last thing is how to define the time invariance and time variance. As the name itself indicates that time invariant means what? Time invariant is for all value of time, the curve should not change. See, suppose the resistance is 2 ohm is there, right? Today if you are conducting some experiment with respect to a particular voltage, so suppose you are getting 1 ampere current. So you expect tomorrow also if I give the same supply, I should get the same answer. Day after tomorrow also same, 1 year after also same answer you are expecting. When this will happen? This will happen when the value of that resistance is not changing. But you know that the resistance due to aging effect on the depreciation, the value of resistance due to temperature also, it changes up to some extent. But if the value of that resistance is changing, even if you give the same supply, the current what you will get is that will not be same. So in that case, the resistance is said to be a time varying element. But in the ideal case, we always assume that this is a time invariant elements. But what kind of curve we expect here? The curve that we are expecting here is that in this IV curve, for any value of time if I am plotting, I should say that the curve what I should get is that is always same. See, for example, suppose this is the curve I am getting at time t1 instant, right? For the same element, after some time I am getting t2 time like this curve I am getting. At t3 I am getting like this. So this is the behavior of a what? A time varying element. That is, at different time it is possessing what? Different curves. However, if the curve is constantly same, suppose like this at t1 like this, again at t2 like this, again at t3 like this, it is continuously tracing the same curve on all value of time. So this is said to be what? A time invariant element. This is said to be time invariant element. That means, irrespective of time, always is giving the same curve. So repeatedly we will be using these words. So that's why I explained here. In electrical engineering, one question is there, I think 94, to identify what? A curve, that what kind of nature it represents. So let us see that. So the curve was given like this. This is I, this is B. This point is 2, the coordinate of this particular point is 2, 2. The coordinate of this is -2, -2. Like this it is given. So in this case, if you observe, the options they are setting is whether this is linear, non-linear, active, passive, unilateral or bilateral. That is the question they have given. 4 options are set. So what I can say here, definitely this is non-linear. What I told you is that it should be a straight line to origin for all value of V and I. So here this is a straight line of course, but not for all value of V and I. We are expecting this straight line should be forever, right? But here this is again straight line here. So this is non-linear. That point is very important for all value of V and I. That should be maintained. Non-linear. What about unilateral, bilateral? See, this curve is symmetrical on these two axes, right? Because the point 2 is given, -2, -2 also given. So I can easily say this is bilateral. What about active and passive? Is there negative slope? There is no negative slope. So directly I can say it is a passive element. It's a passive element. Similarly, if I have a curve something like this, what I can say? Obviously non-linear. What about unilateral, bilateral? Definitely unilateral. Because not symmetrical on these two axes or these two axes. What about this? Definitely active only. Suppose the curve is like this. Right? Suppose this point is 2, 5. This point is -1, -1. So what is this? Definitely non-linear. Definitely, what is that? Whether unilateral or bilateral, it is said to be unilateral because the curve is not symmetrical over these two. Because if 2, 5 is there, we are expecting -2, -5 should also be there, but it's not there in this, right? That's why unilateral. What about active and passive? Definitely passive because no slope is negative anywhere. In the similar manner, if I am asking what is this, then what should be the answer? Non-linear, obviously. It is looking symmetrical. Exactly, we need the coordinate, but looking symmetrical. I can say bilateral. Also, what is that? Passive, not active because no negative slope. So this is the way that if the curves are given, how to identify what is the nature of this. Okay. Last thing I will tell you today, that the slope of this particular IV curve is what we mean by something known as dynamic conductance. Suppose if you are getting a curve like this, right? If I am asking you what is the slope of this, then you don't have a single answer. However, if the curve is like this, if I am asking what is the slope, then you have single answer, right? Why? Because it is a straight line, you can have a slope, but it's a curve, it's not a straight line. How can you find the slope here? It's not possible, right? Assuming this axis I, this axis is B, we are defining the slope of this, right? So that is nothing but how to find the slope of this, that is di by dv. We are denoting by a symbol that is known as G, which is known as, what is that? Dynamic conductance. Dynamic conductance. Then we are defining another parameter which is reciprocal of this, which is known as dynamic resistance. In analog electronics, you might have used these terms to find the AC resistance of diode. You always make use of this kind of equation, di by the relation you used to make, right? So if the slope is changing, then if what is the value of conductance means, you need to say in what value you need. That's why I did it in diodes. But anyway, in our subject, we will be particularly dealing with this kind of curves. We will not deal with this curve kind of things. Most of the time, we will deal with the straight line only. So that is of not much interest to us. That if it is a straight line, what happens? This slope will be constant. So this will be a constant one, right? So the reciprocal of this particular dynamic condition is known as the dynamic resistance. So tomorrow I will again elaborate all those things. Let's have a break. Rachel, sir, if the transfer curve is not passing through origin, then it is said to be linear? No, it's not said to be linear. Suppose, even if it is straight line like this you are getting, then this is again said to be non-linear only. Compulsorily it has to be like this, or compulsorily it has to be like this only. There are two possibilities. Slope can be anything, but must be straight line to origin, then only linear, otherwise non-linear. Vaibhav from Amravati, after a long day's Vaibhav, is diode an active element? No, I already told it's a passive element. However, tunnel diode is said to be active element, because if you observe that curve, there is a negative resistance portion. Tunnel diode is a active element, but normal PN junction, Zener, these are always passive only. Because no amplification, na? How it will happen? Sanjog from Mumbai, sir, are dependent voltage and currents are passive elements? No, Sanjog, it depends on the interconnection. Tomorrow I will highlight what it is. All confusion will go, you will just wait. Parul, IV curve of resistor is straight line passing through origin, so it has negative slope, but it is passive element. How? Parul, see, the resistance curve is this only. This is the curve of a resistance, but this is not the curve of resistance. Please remember, what is the slope of this? Slope is positive, na? So that's why it is passive. If this is the curve, it is said to be active element, but resistance curve is not this one with a positive slope. Definitely it has to be a passive element only. Manoj from Bangalore, sir, what about the element with zero slope in IV curve? Is it active or passive? Zero slope in IV curve. Okay. These are active, Manoj. Tomorrow I'll tell, because if you observe the curve of in the ideal sources, whether voltage source or current source, those will give you either zero or infinity slope. So zero slope, infinity slope with a non-zero value, that always represents your active element. I'll tell this point tomorrow while explaining the energy sources and all. So that is what all about for today. So tomorrow we'll start with resistors, and we have not touched of any gate problem today. So tomorrow we'll see. So tomorrow class timing is 1 o'clock. We'll continue tomorrow. Thank you.